the workers in the plastic industry. I wanted to maybe comment on this strike happening in Cape Town, the My City buses. Allegations of exploitation. What's your take?
Well, I think, first of all, my heart goes out to the workers who have really, you can tell from the anger and the frustration in his voice, the way he expresses his frustration, particularly around being let down. And I think as NUMSA, we must obviously deal with that. He's mentioned the fact that this is an issue he's raised regionally, and I'm hearing together with you for the first time that these members have embarked on a strike. This is something that we have to respond to as NUMSA, and we will do so decisively. But I think it is very concerning to hear that workers feel that they are so aggrieved that they have now embarked on a strike. Clearly the conditions that they are suffering under are that bad. And when you hear him go into the details of that, it does require urgent intervention, and from our side we will definitely respond.
So they are complaining about alleged exploitation. What about the plastic industry? What are some of the grievances among the workers there?
Yes, indeed. Our members, as of today, have embarked on a national plastics shutdown. Over 10,000 of our members, organized in more than 450 countries, all over the country, 450 companies rather, all over the country, will be on strike today. It is an indefinite strike. The cause of the strike is because of the fact that workers in this sector have previously always benefited from agreements that were signed and negotiated under the Metal and Industries Bargaining Council. And it is frankly unfair that suddenly, because the employers in the plastic sector have unilaterally gone and established their own bargaining forum, they've done so with the express intent of trying to undermine and undo all of those gains that workers have made over the last 2 decades.
So this is linked to the minimum wage?
Absolutely. We as NUMSA in the metals and engineering sector, it's taken more than 2 decades for us to fight to the point where ordinary workers are earning a minimum of 40 Rand per hour. When Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC made the announcement that they were implementing the poverty national minimum wage of 20 Rand per hour, that had far-reaching implications for any sector where workers' wages are higher than 20 Rand. And what we've seen here is that employers in the plastic sector have taken advantage of that call. They now want to down-vary conditions, which basically means they now want to go back on all the gains that workers have fought and justifiably gained in the sector, and they now want to start them back at 20 Rand per hour. I mean, you can imagine if I was to give an example, if tomorrow SABC was to say to you, from tomorrow your salary will be halved, your benefits will be removed, your medical aid will be taken away from you. That's effectively what the plastics companies are doing to our members in the sector.
So there was an expectation of a much higher increase or salary increase, but now they have to go back to their families and say, well, you know what, this is going to be cut. Put us in the workers' shoes. What are they going through? What sort of conditions are they working under?
Well, I mean, really what the situation here is that it's being confronted with the fact that the employer is creating the impression that you have no power over this issue, that they can unilaterally half your salary and take away the benefits and conditions which are yours, which you have fought for. For our members, this is truly devastating. We've been trying to negotiate with these people in the sector for more than a year now, trying to deal with this issue, but they have a very hostile attitude towards workers. In fact, the experiences of many workers in the plastics industry in particular is some of the most harrowing abuses in the workplace. We get reports from workers who work in this industry. They are treated shockingly. Their wages are very low in many cases. I mean, in many of the companies, they don't even get to the 20 Rand per hour that's being proposed by the government. Some of them are exposed to truly terrible working conditions. They work long hours, they don't get overtime. So this, for our members, is really an opportunity for them to take back their power. They're fed up with being treated this way. They know that these industries would not exist without their hard work, without their contribution. They are the ones who are the creators of wealth. And as the creators of wealth, they are treated the worst. So effectively, with this strike, they're sending a message to the employers that this industry will shut down if they don't take our demand seriously.
Let's talk about this industry. And there seems to be a concerted effort worldwide to move away from plastics because of the environmental concerns. Are workers concerned about that? That could be one of the elements, isn't it?
Well, certainly yes. I mean, the world is changing. There are many things that we are dealing with. For example, the fourth industrial revolution, where robots are being brought in to replace workers. That is the nature of capital, unfortunately. Capital will always try and replace a worker with a robot. Capital always tries to undermine the value that human beings bring to production. And that's why, as trade unions globally, we have to evolve and tackle these challenges head on. The issue of plastics is a very interesting one because what we're talking about in South Africa particular, it is true where globally, certainly there's a move away from plastics, and we are also seeing that happening in South Africa. But there are a lot of products that depend on the plastic industry. For example, the IT sector, half of the components on your laptop are plastic components. Half of the components in a vehicle are plastic components. So there are many industries still that rely heavily on plastics. And this is why this strike is actually going to have far-reaching implications on many of the sectors if it continues.
Have unions, though, started thinking about possible solutions in order to keep workers employed?
Well, you know, it's a difficult situation that unions find themselves in because unions operate at the mercy of business, so to speak. You know, whilst we obviously, like in this instance, we're engaged in a battle against plastic employers. Ultimately, our goal as unions is to support capital and capitalist industries because our members depend on them for jobs. This is why it's important for trade unions to be more conscious and to actually conscientize workers and to conscientize their members to understand how the system works. One of the demands we need to be making, for example, is the demand for training so that workers can adjust to the changing conditions of the workplace. We should not find ourselves dealing with the arrival of robots when we haven't even planned to deal with that reality. So these are some of the things that we have to start to actively do. Otherwise, if we are writing ourselves out of the history books.
To the matter at hand, how much support is the strike getting?
Well, certainly a lot of support from our members. I've been receiving reports even as early as this morning of members mobilizing in different parts of the country. We've got pickets taking place at several plants in Johannesburg, for example, as well as in KZN today. Tomorrow, KwaZulu-Natal will be planning a mass march through the streets of Durban, through Pinetown, to the Pinetown South African Police Services, where a memorandum of demands will be handed over to where all the plastic employer groupings will be represented, and all of the issues, as I've mentioned to you, will be highlighted. Okay,
we're going to try to stay on top of this story. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola is the NUMSA's national spokesperson. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your insight.
Thank you for having me.